Let's do it. Okay.
Oh, that's the good stuff.
Welcome back, everybody, to Goodwill Podcasting with Connor, Dan, and Stone, your movie podcast that today is talking about possibly the most famous love triangle in fiction, in literature, and also in the movies. And that is Edward Cullen, Bella Swan, and Jacob. I thought about this intro, right? What is Jacob's last name? Do we know his last name? Does he have a last name?
I think it's Black. Is it Black?
I think it's Black.
That sounds about right.
Yes,
Jacob,
it's Jacob Black.
Sounds like a very strong name for a werewolf.
Yes. Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoilers. We're talking about Twilight today. And it might surprise our listeners that, Connor, Dan, and Stone don't know a whole lot about Twilight. None of us had seen the entire series. None of us had read the books. But we have invited on a guest today who just said before we jumped on this and started recording that she watches the movies every single year. And that's what we try to get around here is people, experts like this on Goodwill Podcasting. And that is Llama, the book Esquire. Welcome. Thank you for being here so early in the morning. I know we record this so early, and I just appreciate everyone who jumps on and does that with us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm really happy to be here. You have to bear with me. I do have allergies today, so my voice is a little wonky. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Calling me an expert is maybe a bit of a stretch, I will say, but I do love watching the Twilight series. I watch it every year with my friends, like you said, and it's just nostalgic, you know?
Compared to the three of us, I think you are an expert. You're going to look real good at the end of this episode.
We'll see.
I don't know. So you talked about it a little bit, how you grew up with the books, right, and really how they've been a part of your life. What was it like? Because I know the first book came out in 2005, and then the last book, Breaking Dawn, came out in 2008, which is the same year that Twilight released. So can you give me a snapshot of what 2005 to 2008 looked like in Llama's life when it came to the Twilight saga?
So it started off by me randomly coming across the Twilight book in Target of all places. I just saw the cover, the apple with the two hands, and I was like, that book, I need that for sure. And I got it, and I started reading it. I think I was in 4th grade. So it was definitely not for my age, but I just found it in the young adult section, I think. And somehow found myself reading all 4 books within the next couple of years and highly anticipating the movie. And then the movie was a huge letdown. So, yeah.
Now, was there a point, when you watched the first movie, what was your experience like in the theater? Did you enjoy it? Was your initial reaction similar to how you feel about it now or watching it down the road?
I think I enjoyed it a lot more for its substance when I was first watching it. The first couple of times I watched it, I was like, oh, this is so great. I remember Catherine Hardwicke was the director of Twilight, and I even bought her companion guide that she had published. So I think I really liked it for what it was originally. But I think after I grew up a little bit and there was more vampire content that came out, both books and movie-wise and TV show-wise, I started to realize just how bad it was. I wasn't exactly feral for this series the way that I think a lot of people were back then, but I did fall for it, I think, in the beginning. Also, I don't know that movies were all that great during that time that involved supernatural creatures and stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, I think there's these haven't aged very well, and especially in terms of how they look. I mean,
oh no,
there's some really funny stuff, and especially I think in the first movie. Would you say, I guess when we're talking about the first movie, do you think the book itself was well written? Do you think the book offered good writing that was poorly adapted? Or do you think the problem was in the adaptation, or what? How did you feel about the first book in general, I guess?
So I know that there were some casting issues, thanks to my obsession when I was growing up. So I don't know if it was necessarily the adapting issues. I do know it was pretty accurate. I think minus a few lines here and there, they really tried to be true to the source material. So I want to say that it was just really bad source material, but it was the first of its kind at the time, you know, and I think that's why it went big.
Yeah.
No,
Stone, go Connor.
I was gonna ask, were you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I was going to ask you guys that actually. So I was Team Jacob growing up, but now as an adult, I'm Team Charlie. What about you guys?
The exact. I mean, not growing up because I grew up in the span of this week watching these films.
Wait, Stone, was this your first time for all of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
mine
crazy.
too. So I like the Team Charlie pick. That seems like the right pick.
Oh, yeah.
If it was between the two, I'm definitely Team Edward.
Really?
I can't be either of them. I really can't. And it's crazy because I saw this crazy rumor amongst the fans of the franchise. The fact that Stephanie Meyer wrote Jacob as too good of a guy in New Moon when she eventually knew that Bella was going to end up with Edward. So she's decided to just obliterate his character. And when it comes to Eclipse and Breaking Dawn, he's like awful on purpose because she needed to do that. Because it honestly, a New Moon, I was like, this guy ain't half bad. I mean, look at that bod. You know,
Yeah.
they showed it off.
You know, they almost recasted him, Taylor Lautner, because they were worried he wouldn't get big enough for the role, which would have been a horrible, horrible mistake, I think.
Speaking
Well-
of big, one of the people they considered for Edward was Henry Cavill.
Oh, God. I read that.
Would have been something. But in answer to your question, I was Team Jacob, and then he just gets so odd and crazy, and I'm just like, but I to me, and we'll get into it, all three of these characters are so unlikable in a lot of ways, and it's just my favorite character in these is Carlisle. I love Carlisle. I feel like Bella should have gone for him. I mean, if you're gonna pick someone who's at least 100 years older than you, why not go for 300 years old? It doesn't really
Right.
matter at that point. So he's awesome. But Edward and Jacob have some problems. But do you want to get into the first movie here, Stone?
Yeah, I just can't believe I heard Dan just utter the words, I think I was Team Jacob. That's so fucking funny, man. I mean, you have a persona, a very respected persona on social media. I feel like you're a very serious reviewer and very good at it. And I just love the fact that Team Jacob came out of your mouth. That's the beauty of movies. That's the beauty of Twilight.
I mean, you can't take these too seriously, right? I feel like going into this, you got to be willing to have fun with these. And I will say, I think one of these movies is actually a good movie. So we'll get to that. But
I mean,
it's not the first one.
So yeah, the first Twilight is very different and looks very different from the other films. I mean, me and Dan talked about that. I think even before we started this series, the fact that this is directed by Catherine Hardwicke, and really, I believe this was kind of an indie film. It didn't have a huge budget. I think it was like $20 to $30 million.
35.
35, yeah. So because of that reason, I personally like it a little bit more because I think that Catherine had to, when it comes to the filmmaking, because I think Catherine had to experiment a lot more with the CGI, but really the visuals and how can I convey what is happening to Bella and Edward, especially towards the end of the film. But yeah, this is where they meet. Obviously, we know this. Bella is a girl from Arizona, which we never really figure out anything about her life in Arizona, which I think is, did she have friends? Did anybody miss her? We'll never know, but that could be a good spin-off one day.
The little ones that she holds, the little cactus that she takes with her to Forks.
That is true.
Yep.
That is true. I always wanted to see Doug as well. I think that's his name, Doug, the minor league baseball player that her mom gets with. Very fun inclusion in these films that I absolutely love. But yeah, I mean, we all remember high school, right? Dan, I'll pitch it to you. Did you ever have that burning, passionate love? Was there a girl across the cafeteria that, when you got her, in your view, right? And that scent. I mean, that sounds so creepy. I'm just trying to apply it to Twilight. I mean, did you ever feel a love like this when you were 16, 17?
That's funny. First of all, I went to an all-boys school, so no. I don't think anything quite like this in high school. How about you, Stone?
Honestly, okay. Here's the thing. I don't want to come across as a Jacob, or not Jacob. Edward. Let's just say he pursues Bella very diligently in this movie. I mean, I'm not trying to be weird. There's one girl. I went to a very small school, and the guys know this, Llama. But basically, I had a graduating class of 6 people. I went to a very small Christian school, and in my opinion, there was one pretty girl in the school, and luckily, she liked me. So that's my Bella in high school, I guess. I don't know. Kids are dumb, and sometimes they're just horny, and that's all they think about. And I think that this is maybe a really accurate portrayal of that. Connor, what did you have this in high school?
My wife and I met in kindergarten.
Oh,
So
You're feeling this back then?
technically,
So when you were in kindergarten, you guys like imprinted on each other, basically.
exactly. Yeah, she tried to give her school picture to some redhead kid. I stole that shit.
Very romantic. I think the first movie is so odd. Almost nothing happens in this movie, right? Like literally almost nothing happens. Almost an hour of this is just kind of Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson just like being weird at each other.
Mhm.
And that's not an exaggeration. And I think like it can either really work for you if you find it funny, or it can just be like, what is really happening here? And it's just it's hilarious to me watching this and like knowing the quality of actor that each of them would become. It's kind of strange, but almost nothing happens in this movie. It's a really odd watch, and I feel like you're either into the vibe or you're not.
right. Yeah,
Mama,
if
how do
you
you think these performances are? I was going to ask you.
they're pretty bad, and I think if I remember correctly, what like made Catherine decide on these two in particular was their makeout scene. Like she had them test out their chemistry, and that is what won her, which is very alarming because I don't, at least for me personally, I don't see a lot of chemistry on screen. And if you had told middle school Llama that Robert Pattinson would go on to become Batman at some point, I would have never believed you, like not in a million years. So it's really shocking. I think it was a mix of the script and the source material. Like it didn't do them any favors. Kristen Stewart also grew a lot, I think, as an actress to see her now as opposed to in Twilight.
Yeah, I think they both get better throughout the course of the movies. Like you can see, I think especially her become like more comfortable, but they're both. I think they both get more confident. And I feel like their chemistry, I guess, does get a little bit better. I guess at least they spent time together and all. But
And they dated off screen too, on and off.
yeah,
I feel like that always happens.
Yeah.
Taylor Lautner is like barely in this, which
Long-haired
to me
Taylor
was kind
Lautner.
of long hair. To me, it was kind of surprising because he just feels like such a strange afterthought, really, all of the movies. And I'm curious, like, was he a bigger part of the books, or like?
I think he was actually bigger in the movies, if I remember
Wow.
correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he was not really involved in her early high school experience. Again, I read these books years ago, so I could be mistaken. But from what I remember, he doesn't really become an important part of her story until A New Moon and for sure Eclipse. Eclipse was like the, love triangle going crazy. So
So I remember seeing this. So Jacob actually was initially supposed to be a minor character in the Twilight book. He was primarily designed to introduce Bella to the Cullen family vampire lore. So I think the main thing that Jacob was supposed to do was that there's like a scene of them walking on the beach where he's describing what the cold ones are. And that's like all he was meant to do. But then Stephanie realized, I think she sent it off maybe the first couple transcripts to be reviewed, and everyone really liked whoever this character was, and that's when she was like, I guess I'll do more with him. So you hinted at something right there, Dan. I think you're on the money right there.
Yeah, and I think it's unfortunate because I think it's one of those love triangles where I think love triangles are a terrible trope. I think they suck. I also think it's kind of like they suck in real life too, and it's just like no one really comes out looking good or likable, and it's usually pretty shitty. So I just think like it's also hard. I think Past Lives was an example of a movie like everyone loved. I do not like Past Lives, and I think part of the reason it fails is because there's no actual tension. Like she's never actually going to leave her husband for this person that she has no like. That's never an actual threat. So if that's not actually a potential outcome, there's no actual tension. Like, why am I watching this? Like, it's just she never feels like she's going to end up with Jacob, and I don't know. I feel like it's just there for like this just like teenage drama, but like everything about this is so toxic and strange, and like I don't know. Jacob, I mean Taylor Lautner's also just not. He's not a good actor.
I'm not a very good actor at all.
You're telling me you didn't like his part in the Sean Payton movie?
What movie is that?
It was a Netflix original about the year Sean Payton got suspended from the NFL, and it's top 5 worst movies I've ever seen.
Ooh.
I did not watch that one.
I think there's a reason why we don't see him acting very much anymore. He did get in the spot. He did get in the spotlight recently because his wife has the same name as him. So
I think he's doing a werewolf show, guys. I think there's some sort of, yeah, I think he's like diving back into that world.
Is his shirt going to be off? I need it to be off.
Probably, yeah. He still looks the same though.
He's not in the same shape because he said he hated like the diet he had to be on for these movies.
Yeah, I think it was just like meat patties or something. I don't know.
Which,
it was
I mean,
something crazy protein.
I get it. Like staying that lean for what is this, like a 7-year time frame for these movies?
Yeah.
Probably miserable. But they literally just have his shirt off at all times. It's so funny. Like
not in this first movie though, right? Because he hasn't gone through like werewolf puberty. It's like werewolf puberty in the second movie where he gets all moody and everything. What did he get? Oh, don't. We'll talk about it. I'm so upset. What did you guys think about the Cullens? Like you said, you like Carlisle. Like Alice is a fan favorite, and I saw this thing where I didn't even realize this. I watched all the movies. I'm like, okay, podcast is coming up. I got to do my research. Never realized that the reason why Alice is so open to Bella is because Alice can see the future, and she knows that her and Bella are going to be like really close friends at the very end of like whenever their lives are. So she's like, oh my gosh, Bella, come here. I've been waiting for you. Never realized that until I did some research.
There's actually a line when she first meets her and she says something like, oh, we're going to be great friends. And that's hinting to that. Alice was actually supposed to be casted as Japanese in the movie, but Stephanie Meyer and her many vetoes decided against it.
Interesting.
Wait, was she Japanese in the book?
No, but she was like really like she could have been. I think it was kind of vague in the book. Everyone knows that she was white because Stephanie Meyer made everybody white in her books, right? But like I think Catherine Hardwicke, reading her storyline and reading how like her character was, she was like, oh, it'd be really cool to make her Japanese and make the Cullen family super worldly. And Stephanie Meyer was like, no, we're not doing that.
That would have been a very good idea. I like that idea.
They're probably the whitest movies ever made. Like. I mean,
there's a reason for that. Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about it a little bit before. This is a Mormon story. Stephanie Meyer is a Mormon, correct?
Right.
Yeah. I feel like when you think about like what Twilight has to say, it's interesting because I think partially when people think about Twilight, they think about like the romance and this and that, but like it's really kind of a story about like purity and like waiting till marriage and like I feel like there's kind of like a pro-life message in there as well, and it's like very like it's strange because I feel like how it's perceived is not necessarily like what it actually is. And Stephanie Meyer talked about like not wanting to make it really like graphic or super sexual or like anything like that, and I feel like maybe the movies lean a little bit more into that, but like not really. But you want to talk a little bit about that kind of aspect of it and your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys know about this, but apparently whenever you become a vampire, you can't be black. So if you're black and then you become a vampire, you lose all the pigment in your skin. It's like part of the Twilight lore. And so when Catherine Hardwicke wanted to cast black vampires, Stephanie Meyer was not vibing unless they were villains. And then she was okay. So high-key racist.
Wait, she wrote that into the lore when she was writing the book?
Yeah, like you lose your pigment whenever you become a vampire. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's called beautification.
That's
Wow.
that's
Let me
Yeah.
do I'm gonna do a Google search real quick.
Yeah,
That's
it's insane. It's so
'cause
insane.
there is Lauren or Laron, the guy.
Laurent, yes.
So
Yeah.
he was obviously white in the book.
Yeah, everybody was white in the books. And if I remember correctly, Catherine Hardwicke had to like fight to get him to be black. And I think the only reason she agreed to him being black was because he was a villain.
That's
I'm not trying to jump ahead. Did she have issues with Breaking Dawn Part 2 when all the vampires come from around the world to kind of help?
I'm
And then-
sure she did, but I think by then her PR people were like clamping down on it because I
That's
was
fair.
not able to find anything. I do know though, I don't know if you guys remember Jasper's like origin story, like him being Confederate soldier. Yeah.
It's Confederate, yeah.
Yeah, and he was dying to be a Confederate soldier. He literally like went in, I think he was underage, like he wasn't even of age to be in the army yet, and he lied about his age because he wanted to fight so bad.
you got to serve. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I will say I love Jasper in these movies because he's like what's it called, a new blood? Like he's the newest member of the Cullen family to be transformed.
Right.
And it always looks like he's struggling so hard to like not eat Bella. And it's so funny. His eyes for 4 movies is just like bulging out of his head, and he's just sitting there in the back next to Alice. It's very hilarious, I will say.
Yeah, he's probably one of the worst fake people because there's a scene actually whenever they're in the cafeteria and they're having lunch and you just see like a single carrot on his plate, like a baby carrot, and that's it. That's all he's eating for lunch.
Dude, the first movie is so bad every time anyone's eating. Like,
Yeah.
Bella's just like shaking a squeeze bottle of ketchup, like doesn't know what to do with her whole mouth the entire time.
Oh, and then the boiled eggs that Emmett is eating. Have you guys seen that? Oh, so bad.
I really like Emmett too. He's
Yeah.
cool.
I like the Cullens. I like almost all the Cullens.
The idea. I mean, this to me is very. These all feel like X-Men movies to me. Like this is like it's an X-Men story. I think that's been taught. Like, I think she talked about taking some inspiration from like the animated series and stuff. And this was also like that period of time where like we had come out of the original X-Men movies and we were still kind of getting that. It feels like this just like team of people. When I see Emmett, he's just like that's Colossus. Like I just feel like it's very trying to capitalize off that, and especially like Breaking Dawn Part 2. I'm just like you're just putting together a team of superheroes. Like they can all just do random bullshit. That sure, but it is. I mean, the concept of the Cullens and like being vampires that are like willing to try to do something different and like be not hurting people. Like it is interesting, and they are generally likable, but also like you said, Stone, it does show them like struggle with it, which I think is good. But yeah, I don't know.
How do you guys like the superpowers? Like, I guess that's more so Breaking Dawn, but obviously we get a little bit of it in the first movie. It's such, I mean, we talked about Sinners. Me and Dan just reviewed Sinners. I thought that was a very welcome surprise that movie, if you haven't watched it yet, I'm not really spoiling, but the vampires there looked more as like traditional vampires that have like traditional rules of how they like operate and what it like hurts them and stuff like that. I really like that. That was very surprising. Obviously, Stephanie Meyer takes a lot of liberties, subtracting pigmentation being one of them. The glistening skin, I don't like it. I think maybe this movie would have been
Stone, sparkling.
Oh, it's not glistening, sparkling, synonyms.
Glittering, you're thinking glittering, I think. Yeah.
No, my bad. But
Okay.
I don't know. What do you think about? I don't know. What do you think about the vampires and their lore? Minus the racism stuff that we just found out.
I think when it first came out. Oh, go ahead.
No, all you.
I was gonna say
You're the
when it
expert.
first came out, I thought it was like insane. Like I've never heard of this before. And when we were reading the books, me and my friends were like, wow, this is so cool. But then the more you get into vampire books, and there existed more vampire lore and stories and stuff before Twilight. I think Twilight just made it more accessible to like the youths. But I think when I watched Vampire Diaries after Twilight, that's when I was like, wow, Twilight vampire lore is not good at all. Like not very detailed. The superhero skills was probably the best part of it, the entire thing, I think.
At least the last movie, I was like, okay, cool. I guess we're doing this. Yo, Vampire Diaries slaps, by the way, you guys.
Oh yeah.
It's
Super
good.
Better.
Yeah, the first season is a little wonky, but like give it some time. It gets really, really good.
All right, Dan, you gotta let me know what you think when you check it out.
What, Vampire Diaries?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get back to you.
All right. I
well-
have to know what did you guys? I mean, you're fans of the sport, right? These are the people to ask
One of
when
the
it comes
worst
to
baseball scenes of all time.
lies.
I love it.
Lies. Hell yeah.
It seems
That-
hilarious.
The scene's so funny.
Yeah, she's got the Alice has the like Bronson Arroyo wind up too, which is crazy. The leg kick, but it's so funny because like I feel like them playing baseball is just like someone hits the ball literally as far as possible every single at bat, and then someone has to run and get it. So I feel like every play is just like a play at the plate. But
No, there's that one scene where they collide in midair to try to get one.
As someone who wasn't into baseball at all, like I was very much football growing up in Texas, I loved that scene, and it was the first time I had any interest in baseball. So they did a good job.
pushing the sport forward into new fan base.
Twilight of all things.
I feel like if anything, they should extend the bases from 90 feet to like a half a mile or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I also like baseball is kind of a like brought up repeatedly in this because I mean with his mom or her mom's boyfriend, right, is a baseball player, and like it's kind of a big deal. Thinking about the baseball scene, I'm thinking about like the speed effect they use in this. The first time you see him run, and like when he puts her on his back,
Spider
and
Man.
like we get the spider monkey line, which was improvised, which is crazy. But like it's so funny the way he moves and just like runs up a tree. Like I'm just like,
Have you ever seen the behind the scenes slow mo of them running?
no.
Dude, it's some of the funniest stuff you'll ever see. And the behind the scenes when, well, getting ahead, but when Taylor Lautner's just in a green screen suit, but on screen he's the werewolf, and Bella is actually just petting his head.
Yeah.
Or I guess Kristen Stewart is petting his head.
It's so bad.
It's so funny.
Here's the thing. I do like this movie just because like I said, I it's the style of it that I really dig. And like you said earlier, Dan, if you like if that can do it for you, then great. One thing I miss that this movie has and none of the other movies have, and I guess it's because of the settings of each of them. We spend a lot of time at the Collins house in the other films and not necessarily at the school, is the fact of like Forks, right? That it's like rainy and wet, and that's like on purpose, right? So that the sunlight doesn't shine ever. And I think that just adds like a very eerie setting that really matches a vampire movie. And I also believe that with the color saturation here. I think everything, the tone of the story and the way the movie looks and sounds and feels is like perfect. And I know an inspiration for Stephanie Meyer and the story was a lot of bands like Linkin Park, but then my personal favorite band, which is My Chemical Romance. I've got a record of theirs back there. This kind of just feels like one huge long music video. This movie, the way it's shot, I kind of dig it. You know, they're just laying on the, in the field together, and the camera's just like, let's do like 50 360s, and then like, let's go this way and that way. I'm like, sure, I'm down.
The lighting effect, apparently, allegedly, according to my friends, was done purposely, and every movie is very different because it's supposed to reflect the time of day for each movie title. So like Twilight, it's more blue and green, which is why everything is blue and green in Twilight. And then you see like the lighting from New Moon changing, same with Eclipse, and then Breaking Dawn is very like warm and bright.
I guess that would have to be Stephanie Meyer because I know the director's changed, so I'm wondering who's like keeping that consistent.
Probably, yeah. But it's really unique, especially the blue and, I mean, you liked it. I thought it was very strange, the blue and the green lighting.
That's down. Looks different. I don't know.
But the location was great. You're right. Like Forks is iconic. La Push Beach, also iconic. I'm actually going there in like 2 weeks just to fulfill my little Twilight dreams. So
Nice.
See, I got to get to Italy to fulfill my Star Wars dreams. So.
Yeah.
you can do the Volturi scene too. Just don't go into any tours, obviously.
Yeah, the Volturi are. I mean, we'll get into that. It's kind of a fun aspect. I thought it was interesting. I was reading about what Meyer was thinking when she was writing these. She kind of based Twilight, the first book, around Pride and Prejudice conceptually, which is interesting. It says New Moon is based on Romeo and Juliet. Eclipse on Wuthering Heights, and then Breaking Dawn on A Midsummer Night's Dream. So that's kind of everything she ripped off. But she also mentioned that the Cullens were very much inspired by X-Men, which I thought was funny. But I don't really buy like Edward and Bella's dynamic. Like Bella says she loves him in this movie. Like
That's the
after
thing.
like knowing him for 2 weeks and like they haven't kissed, and she's like, "No, I love him so much." It's like, why?
That's
They
the
all
thing.
just kind
That's
of stare at each other. Like,
zero chemistry. I mean, you said it, Lama. There's nothing. There's no. It's immediate. I want to fuck you. That's immediately. There's no words exchanged.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as lust.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Although
but
he
she,
didn't
well,
show
she
it
thinks
very
the
well.
story isn't about lust. She didn't want to make it about, which is like, then make them actually have some kind of connection. I don't know.
Or give him time. I think the whole like 4 books was like 2 years, and he's gone for like 8 months of that, doing God knows what in New Moon.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which I guess it makes sense because the reason why he's attracted to Bella is because she is. I mean, we find out she's a shield, and he can't get into her mind. So just that fact is what draws him in. I guess he's just hot. Now, I was thinking that why is Bella attracted to him, like drawn in? I thought maybe it was like just the fact that he's a vampire, like can draw her in. But why isn't anybody else like swooning over Edward? I guess they are. I
Well,
guess
they are.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
are.
So is that the only thing? Is like he's using his vampire powers to like convince her to like get with him, and then he's just like, maybe I can get a snack in this. Or no, he doesn't want a snack. But
I don't think he's using his powers to convince her.
I'm just curious why she likes him.
I
Just
think it
because
was
he's
the
attractive.
opposite. No, I think it was the opposite. He was the only guy that didn't like throw himself at her because she was like the new toy, right?
That
in
is true.
school. And
Yeah.
all the guys were going crazy for her, and he was the only one that was like, "Leave me alone, you smell bad."
It's funny. It's kind of a thing where like they both kind of feel like they maybe can't have the other one, so then they're both just like, "Oh, this is interesting." But like that's not like the basis for a good romance. It's just like kind of toxic, and I feel like that ends up playing into the rest of the relationship. It's very odd. I also think like you said, I think it just feels very rushed. But I also wanted to say, I think it's pretty funny. I mean, I don't know if funny is the word. Like they basically try to play Taylor Lautner like he's like an indigenous person in this.
Yeah.
And to me, it's funny because we just watched Sinners and Haley Steinfeld in that movie. She's like, "Oh, I'm 1/8 black," and it's like that's kind of a big point of that. And I feel like Taylor Lautner is like 1/32 Cherokee deep in his like ancestry, and I feel like they're just like, "Oh yeah, he's an indigenous person in this," and it's like they tie the like werewolf like lore so deeply into like indigenous culture, and it's just like a little bit strange. It's like you could have just cast like an actual indigenous actor, and this probably would be a lot better, and maybe they'd actually be able to act as well, which would be nice.
She appropriated the like creation myth from that tribe. I think it's the Quileute. I'm probably butchering that, but she appropriated that entire myth into her like werewolf lore.
Shocking. Also, can someone like this is probably pretty embarrassing that I don't know the answer. Maybe Llama, can you explain to me how are the werewolves even like how do you become a werewolf? What is that process even like in this? I didn't understand that even through watching these. Like, do you get bitten and then what happens there?
I think if I remember correctly, they just randomly transform, and you kind of see that in Breaking Dawn Part 2 when all the vampires are like in their territory, they like their genes get triggered or something, and they have all these little kids turning into werewolves, right? I think they
He's
just
like calling that one down that transforms, and he's like, it's okay.
Yes, that's that exact scene. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think it's something to do with like if you remember their origin story, like as to how the Cullens and the tribe have beef, it has to do with like somebody killing somebody and then them having a war or whatever. So I think their presence was triggering. I think it's kind of like a fight or flight situation, but they end up becoming werewolves instead. And depending on how like threatened they feel as a people, they become either there's more werewolves or there's less.
it's interesting in these movies because like the werewolves are 100% the good guys. There's no
Right.
like the vampires are the villains, and like it's
Team
not even
Jacob. That's why.
yeah, and it's not even a question. But I don't know. I just like I said, I watching this and the next one, I kind of was like more leaning towards Jacob, and then he just gets so shitty. But I feel like you said, they have to try so hard to like make him not likable. But
So we should probably like get into new movie. But one thing I just want to say real quick too that bugs me about probably like 3 out of 5 of these movies is that they try to kind of have a villain each time, a threat that is like the finale of each book, each entry. This is such a they're introduced like 20 minutes into like remaining in the film. And I will say I like it's during the baseball scene, and I like how there's like a very evident fog machine that is being pumped at these people, and they like emerge. Thought that was kind of cool. I like the baseball scene. I like emerging from smoke. I'm a simple guy to please. But yeah, these three, and it's so funny because they just seem like a random group of vampires, right? I don't think they have a huge connection with the Cullens.
they're like nomads.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they're the three besides I guess the Voltaire and like what they're doing, but they're like the three for the first 3 movies that are like giving them some problems.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Because I mean, the only way they're tied into the plot is like there's those like animal attacks that are happening, and like I guess they're the ones that are doing that. But like, I don't know. I guess they just show that like what vampires can be when they're not the Cullens. But
That's kind of a theme too, if I remember in the books. Like, you know, with like the newborns and Eclipse too. None of like the villains and the bad people don't really come in until the very end. I think because it's very romance forward, so it kind of focuses on the relationship of the dynamic. So if it's not really going to aid that, it's like kind of okay, we'll put it as a plot point towards the end to make the ending better.
Well, yeah, if they were fighting the whole movie, you can't have Taylor Lautner shirtless the whole time.
I mean, you could.
No, he's a werewolf. You know, when they're fighting.
Yeah, true. I feel like they're always shirtless so that they can transform and not ruin their clothes, but they wear their pants, and then sometimes they just are wearing full clothes and transform, and then it's fine. Like I don't understand anything that's happening a lot of times, but
Abs.
The
jorts
scene where he
are the best.
stripes in front of Charlie.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Okay. I
We'll
do. I said I didn't want to say. I've spent enough time on this podcast that I figured something out, Llama. Whenever I pronounce something wrong, Dan laughs. It's not the Voltaire, it's the Volturi.
I also do.
because Voltaire is like a philosopher. I was just like,
Yes. My bad. My bad. I'm so
Never
sorry.
forget B. Jack Novak.
Okay, I went back and I watched our episode. I was saying B. Jack Novak. That was an episode that we just did about a movie called Vengeance. B.J. Novak, a very prominent figure in The Office.
yeah,
Directed the
B-Jack
film.
Novak's a cool name.
Yeah.
Could be your son one day, Dan. You're welcome.
Yes.
But
But anyway, one last thing that maybe to end this. It's like, first of all, we have the scene of like Edward sucking all the venom out of Bella, and then she asked to be turned into a vampire in this movie. Like, that's bizarre, correct? Like, is that not way too fast?
Yeah, it's been like what, 6 weeks or something?
Like, she
Like,
barely
that's
knows
bad.
him. She barely knows even like what it means to be a vampire, and she's just like, "Yeah, let's do it. I want to be."
she just wants to be with him. And it was just crazy. Like, I feel like something like that, obviously, it doesn't happen for a long time, but third or fourth movie, like, why right away? Like, your dad's not a bad guy. Don't you want to chill with him for a little bit?
Oh, Charlie.
Poor Charlie, man.
Also, as a general question, like, and Lama, maybe you can answer this. Do you think Bella is like a Mary Sue? Like, is she a good character? Like, what is interesting about Bella that makes like the entire world is like centered on Bella in every single one of these, and she's just like they don't give her hardly any characterization outside of the people that she is romantically interested in, and it's just like, who is Bella Swan? Like, what is Bella Swan? Like, I I don't
She's
know.
a pick me, that's for sure. That's number one. But if you read any of the vampire stories around this time, or any of like the young adult fantasy, there's a lot of like dystopic young adult fantasy around this time as well. The girl is always the one that everybody in the world wants. She's highly coveted. And so it was just kind of a trend that I don't know if she started or she leaned into it, but it was really, really big in at least literature during that time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like it doesn't like it's strange because like it is a character. It's like it's a female centered story. Like it is a female protagonist, but like so much of this is like Edward and Jacob like protecting her or like deciding what she's gonna do or not do. And it's just like this just feels so weird. Like it's a weird story. Also the fact like she's 17 and Edward's like 100. He's like breaking into her house to watch her sleep. It's like, dude,
So weird.
like
So I thought about the age gap, right? The breaking into the house thing, he doesn't need to do that. But I think without the age gap, you really don't have that much conflict in this whole saga, right? Because what if she's like 18, 19? It's just different. I think that she's easily able to leave home, which maybe it's just that there's no story if that happens. So you have to set her in high school to give her some reason to stay in Forks. I literally think that's it.
Right.
yeah, it's still
It's weird. It's weird. I admit, but I don't think you can have Twilight without the age gap.
Well, why couldn't he have been like the newborn brother? Like, why couldn't him and Jasper have switched and he be, actually newer at least? Maybe
Because
like,
then you don't have all that baggage. You don't have all that baggage. Like you got to have like I've been around since 1920s. Like that's such classic vampire stuff. There's like girls don't. It's not cool for like the readers or the audience to fantasize over a guy who's like, dude, I turned yesterday and look how much my eyes are bulging out of my head because I want to, suck her neck.
But his lore is not that great. Like when you compare him to like, I'm thinking of like Stefan and Damon from Vampire Diaries, who have this insane lore. Obviously a TV show, way more episodes, la la la. But like with Edward, his backstory is kind of boring, actually. I think he died of the Spanish influenza, right? And then hunted men who were hunting women, and that was it, right? That's all we know.
Don't we randomly get that in the fourth movie?
Yeah, like a snippet or something.
I think it's literally before him and Bella get married. He's like, oh, I got to tell you one thing real quick. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude.
Exactly.
Makes sense because you guys have known each other for like 3 seconds, but
you know what I would keep her in Forks though. Like I feel like they could have just spent more time with like Anna Kendrick's character because, like we said, her best friend from Arizona was a cactus. Like it could just be like having a good friend for the first time. That's human.
Right.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick's pretty good in this.
completely forgotten about towards the end, which made me very sad.
Yeah.
I don't like the blonde guy who can't take a hint. He's like, no, I don't know if you should be with Edward. It's like, bro, she's not going to get with you.
At her wedding too, he's still like, well.
Yeah. Everyone's falling over Bella, man. Head over heels.
It's
The
crazy.
last thing I want to bring up before you guys change to New Moon, have you actually seen the Twilight parody? It's called Vampires Suck.
Yes.
That is iconic. I
saw it at the drive-in movie theater. It's the first movie I ever saw at a drive-in.
Really?
Yep.
Nice. Drive-ins are
Crazy
great.
cool.
It was a double feature at the drive-in because they do that every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And it was that movie and then the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Ooh.
Oh, you had so the guy who plays Jasper is in both of those movies. Or no, is in this movie, Twilight. And he plays Sokka in the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. I cannot remember the actor's name. Yeah, it's the same actor. Yeah, he's Sokka.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And I've never seen a single episode of the actual show, so I don't hate the movie as much as I think everyone else does. And I even knew how bad that movie was, and I was like 12.
Oh, you need to watch Avatar. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm trying. Jackson Rathbone.
Who's like really trying to convince me to start it. Sean.
It's so good.
Very good. I guess the last thing that I'll say about Twilight is Decode Paramore. One of the best songs ever. Their best song Paramore has ever done on the soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack in general is probably the best part of the entire movie. I used to listen to it all the time. The soundtrack for all the movies is better than the actual movie.
Is the best part. The best part of the movies are the soundtracks.
Yeah, exactly.
The most important part, I guess.
It's like the same thing with Interstellar.
Oh yeah.
Right, New Moon.
All right, New Moon. I think this is the worst plot out of any of the films. Awful. The dumbest thing I've ever seen. honestly.
Why?
I'll tell you, and I want to make sure I get this plot right. Right? It makes no sense after what happened at the end of the first movie with Bella almost dying, right?
Mhm.
That ticking off Jasper just a little bit, right? And he almost bites Bella. Ooh, like we haven't seen that before. The callers are like, I actually hold on. People are noticing that Carlisle isn't aging, so that's part of the reason. But then also what happened with Jasper, they're like, Bella, I've got to leave you forever. Like, come on, bro. Are you kidding me? After what we just saw, okay. Here's the crazy part. Obviously, she connects with Jacob. Whatever. You see an apparition of Edward who's like, don't do it. Don't you dare. Like constantly, like 4 or 5 times. And then she keeps on putting herself in danger. This is the wild part. I'm not trying to drag this out too long. Is the fact that she is trying to put herself in danger to get Edward's attention. Alice is seeing visions of her, and because she is next to the werewolves, because Bella is next to the werewolves, it is clouding Alice's visions. And when she sees Bella jumping off that cliff, she thinks Bella committed suicide. And she tells Edward that Bella just killed herself. So then Edward's like, I'm going to kill myself. And then Bella's like, gets word of that from Alice, or somehow that comes back to Bella. She's like, no, I got to save him. And he's like, Volturi, please kill me. They're like, no, dude. And he's like, fine, I'm going to sparkle for everyone. And also, the biggest plot hole of this entire series for me, I'll end on this, is the fact that Bella is a shield. And we find out that, what's his name? Otto, like the guy who runs the Volturi. Arrow. We find out that Bella, like the reason why Edward can't see her thoughts is because she is a shield, or she has this ability where vampire powers do not work on her, right? Dakota Fanning's over there like, right? She's not feeling any pain.
That's a bad actor. Holy
Yeah, cannot stare into her soul, cannot make her feel pain. How then can Alice see her future? It makes no sense. Also, at the beginning of this movie, it is her birthday. And I remember she is in high school, and they're in the high school, and all of a sudden Bella's like feeling all tingly, and she goes, Jasper, don't you change my mood like that. How is Jasper doing that? It makes no sense. It is one of the biggest plot holes because Alice is constantly seeing Bella's future throughout the entire series. It makes no sense for what they set up. All right, I rest my case. You guys could talk.
But seeing someone's future is not like exerting a power on them. Also, I think like, you can also
How?
like. Also, I think Bella's powers probably grow over the course of this, and then once she's like a vampire, it's like more so actually activated. But like in this world, are there just human beings with powers too? Like
Yeah, I was very confused by that.
and I don't know. I feel like the character of Bella, like with how central she is to everything, she feels like some kind of like, I don't know, like Jesus in this world. Like she feels like everything is so centered around her. Like even like the vampires get so obsessed in the first movie about like sucking her blood. Like go kill anybody else that's not protected by an army of good vampires. Like what are you doing? Like it doesn't make any. It's very silly.
Well, it makes sense though, right? Because Edward kills James, right? So in order to get back, no. They want to get revenge, right, on Edward. So that's why they're tracking down Bella.
No, they get like Bella's scent and they're like, oh, I need to suck her blood.
My bad. It's after this, right? It's after this that James dies. So then they want revenge
Edward
on
kills James,
Edward.
and then Victoria
Yes.
becomes like a big bad down the road.
Yeah.
But
There's like a weird theme throughout all of the books of wanting what you can't have. And it's really toxic, like for all the character relationships. And to your point about the plot holes, there's like a thing, second book syndrome is like an issue in a lot of like fantasy series where the second book always struggles because it ends up becoming like a means to an end, kind of like just a transition story. And I think with Stephanie Meyer, she was like, I need to get Edward out of here so we can develop something with Jacob so I can have this amazing, love triangle in Eclipse. And that's exactly why she had him go away. Like it did not make any sense, but it worked for, a means to an end kind of thing.
Have you read the Avatar series?
Have I read it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. I'm pretty sure my wife said the second one was her favorite in that, so maybe that's a break in the...
Yeah. Well, some
Break in the
people
middle.
like when Edward leaves.
awful. It's awful. I'm
I
like,
think it makes sense.
I thought this whole thing was about Edward and Bella falling in love, and then he's just gone for an entire movie. And then Taylor Lautner's terrible at acting, so I just have to watch. I mean, I will say there is a scene in this where Bella and Jacob have some chemistry more so than ever Edward and her do, and it's like when he's like fixing her bike because they have like a connection with each other. They grew up together. At least they have something rather than her and Edward who have nothing.
Jacob, if you put them in a like Jacob is 100% the better romantic option for her. Like they are good friends. Like they've been friends for a long time, and like it's everything about it is so weird. And then it's like Jacob has this idea that like, oh no, she loves me, but she won't admit that she loves me. I just have to like convince her that she loves me. So I'm gonna like
Forcefully kiss her.
sexually her, and then like she'll just like start liking me, and then it's like that's actually true. Like she's like, oh no, like I am kind of into it. It's just like, what is this story? But like, if she's actually into him, why is she with Edward? Like I don't understand. They're always just like, she's like, yeah, I like you, but like I love Edward. It's just like, what do you love about him? Like what is
he doesn't water?
But I mean, I also think something that pisses me off about the first movie is like Edward literally scene to scene has a different attitude towards Bella for no reason, and it's so annoying. Like he just has these ridiculous like mood swings back and forth, and that's like the entirety of the first movie. So like I kind of see him leaving because like it's also the aspect of like she almost died at the end of the first movie because of him. So I could see him being like, I don't want to put her in danger. But this is the most toxic movie of all of these. Like she literally is just like, I'm gonna see how close I can get to dying, and maybe he'll notice me with his weird force ghost that he's using, where he's just like watching her at all times from
What
wherever
is
he
that?
is.
Like, is that another power he has? Like, I thought he could just read people's thoughts.
He's
Like,
just
why
like
can't
doing
he?
astral projection. Like what? I don't...
In the books, she can't even see him. She just hears him, by the way. In the movies, she sees him. I think they added it as like a visual effect. But if I remember correctly, in the books, she just hears him a lot.
Which would have been so much better and so much less
works.
goofy if it was like a voice in her head, but it's so funny. And it's just like the stuff she's doing, it's just so bizarre. Like, I don't know.
And I hated Jacob's like anger issues. They're like, oh, he's just so hot all the time and he's angry. It's because of he's transitioning and la la la. I hated that so much.
Because when he gets angry, it's like so quick. It doesn't feel like he's just in a conversation and he's just like throwing shit and like running away. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
there's one moment in particular. It's such a weird setup, but it's when him and Bella, and then also that random guy from school, go to the movies together. Yeah, and the guy, it's like a action movie with like some gore. So he gets sick, and like they all leave the theater. He's going to the bathroom, like throwing up, right? And then Jacob and Bella are having like some heart to heart or whatever, and the guy comes out of the bathroom. He's like, "Guys, oh man, I don't know if I can do this anymore." And Jacob's like stands up. He's like, "Will you get the fuck out of here?" or something like that. He gets so mad at him. I'm like, dude, he's just sick. Calm down.
Yeah, I think he threatens to put him in the hospital. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're sick. You should go to a hospital. Maybe I should put you there." It's crazy.
Oh, it's so funny. He's so. Oh my gosh. I wanted to say just while I'm thinking about it, I remember distinctly the first time we see him shirtless, and how quickly. Yes, when Bella crashes that bike, she gets off the bike, right, and she's bleeding from her head. The reason why they cast Taylor Lautner is how quickly he rips that shirt off. I've never seen someone rip off a shirt as elegantly and as quickly as that was. And I was very impressed. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, you're bleeding? Here it is." It's so impressive.
Imagine seeing it in theaters the first time when it first came out. Oh my god, the girls were going gaga in the crowd. We were all screaming when that happened. His transformation was pretty insane too. That was the first time we got any hint as to how he looked like. So it was kind of crazy.
In the CGI, like, it's not the worst. It's not the best. Like, it's okay.
I think the best thing about this movie was the the line that he said. I think it's Bella, where have you been, Loca? Which isn't in the book, but that's the best part of the entire movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, why did he say that? Like,
I don't know.
it's
I have
so
no
odd.
idea. It was so
There's so
weird.
many lines in this where it's just like, if you just took that out, the movie's like 5% better immediately. Like the spider monkey thing, I'm just like, take that out of the movie. Like, it's so, like, it's funny, but I don't
Very
know.
memeable.
Yes.
Yeah, this saga is very memeable. I will say also something I was very disappointed by that I knew. I mean, I never watched these movies before, but I knew that a haircut happened for Mr. Jacob, and I was very disappointed that that happened off screen. Very upset about that. I thought that I wanted to see Jacob's transformation actually happen. Like you just get to him and then. Actually, I think I'm incorrect. Hold on. When Bella sees him for the very first time after his transformation, like he's like gone. No, is his shirt off? It has to be off. I think that was the first time I witnessed him actually taking his shirt off. That's the thing. I think she goes to his place and he's just roaming around in the rain with his shirt off. And she's like, Jacob, where have you been? I needed you. Right? And he's like, Bella, not now. I'm going through things. Or whatever. So I will correct myself. It was the first time he took his shirt off and I witnessed it. That was how quick he did it.
Nice.
But yeah, I wanted to see his haircut. That's all I'm saying. I started thinking about the body. Sorry.
The long hair really was it was not a good look. Like
No.
it looked so strange. And like, yeah, I already touched on that, but I'm
Oh,
glad you
trust
cut
me, they
there.
make fun of it plenty, and vampires suck, and it's hilarious.
Mhm.
This is a pretty good soundtrack. Tom York is on this. The Killers have a song. There's another Muse song if you like Muse. Bon Iver and St. Vincent. It's pretty good soundtrack.
I'm glad you
Death
mentioned
Cab
that.
for Cutie.
I'm glad you mentioned that because My Chemical Romance was asked to do a song for this movie because it fit what they did with the Black Parade album. And because they were no longer in that era, they denied it and they made a song about being asked to make a song for this movie called Vampire Money. And it's just like basically about them turning down the money that they were offered to make a song. Little fun little tangent there, but
Hell yeah.
Dan, you don't come across as a big My Chemical Romance fan, no?
They're fine.
Okay.
I don't love a lot of like bands, but they're fine. Like, I like the
Who is your
Killers.
favorite music artist?
My favorite music artist?
Yeah,
Um,
band or musician, either one.
probably James Blake.
I don't know if I know.
You don't know who that is. That's
I was
okay.
gonna say.
I know Connor's. Connor's is Eminem. Who's yours, Alma?
Oh, that's a hard question. Right now, I want to say Paramore. They're the only ones that have lasted since I was in middle school. So,
Hell yeah. It makes a lot of sense that you really like Twilight. I mean, I'm not trying to.
oh yeah, so much sense.
I mean, it's kind of perfect. But yeah, the villain in this also, the Volturi is just like, they're just like the same as the first movie. They just pop up at the end. And all of a sudden, there's like this random threat that I didn't know was going to happen. They're like, we're going to murder Bella. And they're like, no. I seen her future, bro. We're going to change her for sure.
I think they're really cool though. Like I like
I like them. I like them.
This is my second favorite movie we're talking about today.
Why?
I think Edward's story makes sense. He realizes he's a threat to Bella and he leaves. And then she just mishandles every part of that and is like, well, I'll just kill myself then if I can't have the one I want.
I mean, this is the Romeo and Juliet one, so like,
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely fits that line. And then I like getting more of the backstory on like werewolves and like Jacob's transformation and his story just in general. And then we actually see like more of the lore behind vampires with the Volturi, however you properly say it.
Voltaire.
And I like the last like 20 minutes with them and kind of, explaining, and like Lama just said, that's the whole thing is like, we're going to kill Bella. Like, well, no. Her future is she does turn. I like this one a lot. A lot is a stretch.
I read somewhere, there's a random scene, I believe when Edward figures out that Bella is dead, he's randomly in Brazil. And I saw somewhere that there is this plot line in the book that was taken out of the movie where Victoria actually sends Edward like on this like rabbit chase, like to some mission or something that he's trying to figure out something on purpose. and that's why he's randomly in Brazil. The guy, it's funny. It's funny though because he's just like there, and like a statue of Jesus in the background. You're like, why? Why is he there?
Yeah,
Kind
I was
of
looking at
ties
that. I was like,
into-
that's like the Christ the Redeemer. I was like, what is happening? It's very strange to like make such a pointed reference to a place and then just be like, we're not going to tell you anything about what he's doing or why he's there. But is
Hey, they go back there and Breaking Down Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
that where the honeymoon is?
Yep.
No, well, they are in Rio, and then they go to this like
Island.
private island, basically off the coast of Portugal. But that's kind
There
of
should have been a imagine a Fast and Furious Twilight crossover in Rio.
Oh, I have a
Family.
I have a fun fact for you about the books as well, that I found out how the Cullens get their money. And it's because Alice uses her gift to predict the stock markets, and that's how they are so rich.
dude. If you're alive for 300 plus years and you haven't figured out how to make and save some good money, you know, I feel like you shouldn't be here anymore.
Did you guys like the fight scene with the Volturi at the end?
I can't even remember it, to be honest. Is it in Italy still? Right?
Yeah, it's whenever I think.
Oh yeah, Edward. It's mostly with Edward.
Yeah, she saves him. They go in right before they kill all the tourists, and there's like a weird fight scene, and then they convince them to let them go. That wasn't in the books. They just had a conversation in the books. They kind of took some creative liberties with the movie.
Oh
And then
yeah,
Dakota Fanning's just like,
Yep.
she's always just like,
I wish it wasn't Dakota Fanning because like that character interested me so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
It's-
that's got to be like a top 3 vampire power, like in
Yeah.
this world, right? Like,
She was
just like
really
a wizard.
popular in the book.
Like
what'd you say, Dan?
she's just like a wizard. Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
like, it's got to be top 3 easily, and then I mean number one's got to be Shield.
yeah.
what a funny. I love how we're doing power names. Shield. So cool.
I really don't think Dakota Fanning's a good actor. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you.
Well, she barely gets any lines in this, so you're welcome, I
Yeah.
guess.
In
And she
any,
gets one word in Breaking Dawn Part 2, right? And it's just pain, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this movie to me is like fine. It's super weird and toxic and all, but like it's ridiculous, which is kind of what I'm looking for in these. But do you guys have any closing thoughts on New Moon?
I like the name.
I think we should save all of our rankings for all these to the very end and just hear everyone's.
Okay.
Gonna be curious. I'm curious to hear what everyone says.
Now
Yeah.
can we talk about the only good movie in the franchise?
Easy.
Man, what are you defending, Connor? This is not a beloved franchise to you. Hey, watch it now. Yeah, Eclipse is the Lama, what do you think about the Eclipse? Because I actually saw that the reviews are pretty good. I know me and Dan feel similar about it. Like, how do you feel about it?
So the book was actually my favorite. And because the book was my favorite, I actually don't like the movie because I felt like they did a really poor job of, copying it over. But here's the thing. I think substance-wise, Eclipse had the most story that made sense. But I don't know. I think the reason why I liked it so much growing up was because of the love triangle, and I felt like it was done so poorly in Eclipse.
Like what about it didn't work for you?
Well, in the books, when I first read them, I genuinely thought there would be a chance for her to pick Jacob. Like, it just made more sense. He was the good guy. She didn't have to transform or leave her family or anything like that. In the movie, there was no chance. Like, she kind of messed with him a little bit, and she teased it. But besides using him, there was no way you could convince me after watching the movie that she would ever pick Jacob.
Yeah, I think that's part of how I felt with New Moon into this. Like, how she treats Jacob is like so manipulative the whole time, and it's like, man, that's just like shit. And like Jacob also sucks, so it's like, his attitude about it all sucks as well. But like, also, she is just leading him on for no reason. I think she does like value his friendship, but I feel like they don't make that clear enough. Like, I feel like they should have made it more that she was like just treating him as a friend and like was trying to battle against like telling him no, this is not happening, but also like wanting to be. I feel like it's just that's such a hard thing to show, and I feel like it just feels a little bit like she's using him in the second movie as a tool to make Edward angry.
Mhm.
And like that is just not a great look. But I mean, I obviously agree with what you're saying. I think you never feel like Jacob has a chance in any of these.
I say the one thing that's different on this movie than the other ones that I've said so far that have been two big problems for me is this is the only one where it feels like the conflict, like the threat of the movie is consistent. Like it is introduced at the very beginning that Victoria is trying to build this army, and you get constant scenes of it happening, and the Volturi are there, and they're they're involved with it as well, and I think it pays off very, very nicely. Also, I was kind of jarred by the fact that they recast Victoria and it's Bryce Dallas Howard. I was like, she wasn't in the first movie, right? And then no, they just recast her for this film. But that's like a huge.
You know why?
Yeah, red hair. There's a reason why.
It was only because Rachel Lefevre had a scheduling conflict. She was filming Barney's version during the filming of Eclipse, so they had to recast her.
Well, Bryce Dallas Howard's a fine actor, so.
I also think this is probably the best director they had because the directors changed. There's 4 directors to make 5 movies. This was David Slade, who also made 30 Days of Night. He did Hard Candy. He did the Black Mirror movie Bandersnatch with you like pick your way through it, and he did Dark Harvest in 2023. So like he's a solid horror director, and I feel like he made this movie like he brought a lot to it, I think, and made it more watchable. But
one thing that I love too is that like we talked about the fact that we like the Cullens, like most of all of them, you actually get some of their backstory here.
Mhm.
And like when she's talking to Rosalie and how she got turned, like I really like Rosalie's character. I didn't expect that at all, especially when it comes to, I think it's like towards the end of this movie and the beginning of Breaking Dawn, the fact that she's like stop taking being human for granted. Like you have a choice. Like I didn't have a choice. And we get like actual characterization. Like, and I'm like, what is this? A lot better than the ex-Confederate soldier, I will say.
Yeah,
we also get
the
this
only
change.
one with a character arc.
yeah, why didn't they just change his backstory? Like that's such an easy thing to just be like, nah, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna say he was fighting to uphold slavery. Like we'll just.
And that was Jasper, right?
Yeah.
And is Jasper also who they keep referencing as like the newborn or like the newest
Yes.
one? That doesn't make sense timeline wise because
Like I guess I think you're right. I don't know because
they say Edward was turned in like 1921 or something like that.
I'm
pretty
shoot,
sure.
Connor.
Oh yeah.
1918, I believe, but
Still,
Yeah.
he's not the newborn.
Well, I guess
Because that's one thing I wrote down
Yeah.
about this movie too that like didn't make sense to me either.
Mhm.
Is it was in New Moon, right, where like Bella was bleeding and like they had to bring Jasper out of the room because like he wasn't
Right.
able to control himself. But then when they talk about him in this movie as like the Confederate soldier, he was saying they liked me so much because of my control.
okay, good catches, Connor.
A
Damn.
great catch. Yeah.
Yeah, I never even thought of it.
I will say I think this movie, kind of what Stone was saying, is like the best kind of culmination of a lot of the different stories. Like I think
Mhm.
you have a decent at least motivation with Victoria because Jason or whatever the hell his name was died. You also have the Volturi kind of like watching over everything to like see how the situation develops, which will lead into them eventually being the main antagonist. This is where you have the most interaction, I think, between Edward and Jacob, and like their dynamic still is ridiculous, but at least they're like talking to each other. The tent scene.
I was gonna ask about that.
Okay,
Like, the dialogue is crazy. Like literally, the conversation is just like he's like, "Well, if she likes you, would you let her like you?" And he's like, "I guess. If she liked you, would you let her do that, or would you kill me?" It's just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, it's literally like Bella is like a dog or something. Like it's so odd, and she's like lying there like awake, like giggling to herself, like, "Oh, this is great." Like, oh my god, it's so cringy. But
I think the thing that frustrates me is the reason why I actually liked that scene is because I thought maybe possibly there was some understanding that they would let Bella make her own decisions, that the two of them are trying to control her, and at the end of
Why
it,
do
I
you
thought
need
it's like,
understanding for that? Like, why is that not understood? Like,
bro, I don't know. I'm just saying, I thought that was it. I'm like, finally, we got it here. But then as the rest of the saga goes on, it's kind of just more of the same. I will say the "I'm hotter than you" line is very, very funny. I thought that was hilarious. And that's like the one of the very few times where they know that they're trying to like make a joke, and I thought it was very effective. And I love that he's shirtless. It's like the absolute freezing cold, like winter outside. He's like, "Hey, man, oh man, she looks like she's, about to, freeze to death over there."
and Jacob is kind of funny with how like out of pocket he is. He's just like, if you take your clothes off, it'll be way better. It's like, dude, like, how do you see this going? Like, I just he's really insane in these movies, but
Is Edward in the
relentless,
tent when
for
he
sure.
says that?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's looking at Edward when he says that.
Yep.
That's very funny. I'm sorry. That's very funny.
No, it's okay. Like, for how campy and silly this all is, like, I get it. And I do like I like seeing them. I think it's cool that the werewolves and vampires like kind of get over their bullshit and like end up working together in these movies. I like that, and I like seeing them kind of deal with like their history. I think that's cool, and like process the fact that like they don't like each other because of stuff that happened a long time ago. But yeah,
All three of these people are just so moody, man. They're just too moody, which is funny because you could just be like, well, it makes sense. They're all like 17, 18, bro. Like, I was just thinking about the fact that purposely, what is it? Edward like says they're engaged purposely in the vicinity of Jacob. And Jacob gets all upset and butthurt. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go back down to that battle and what if I die? What if I die down there, Bella? What are you going to do? And she's
so
like,
bad, dude.
she's like, no, Jacob, don't say that. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Why does she kiss him?
And this was after she punched him for kissing her, right? This was this movie.
Yes.
Yes.
I
And she
don't.
breaks her hand allegedly, which like is such a serious injury.
And she's
No, it was
fine.
only a sprain. Sorry, it was just sprain.
Yeah, and because of the line earlier where Jacob was like, next time I'll wait till you ask me to kiss you. Whatever.
But like, why did she do that?
I don't know, but that's also why I'm Team Edward, because Jacob's just like a piece of shit.
I think it's to get
So is
Jacob to
Edward, though.
stay.
Like,
Yeah, to not kill himself, basically.
Yeah. He's gonna I'm gonna go down to that battle and I'm gonna like really suck it up and they're gonna murder me. So and she's like, no, Jacob, pucker up. So
but then he
Guess
goes
they-
anyway.
I don't know because they're in trouble. I don't know, man.
Yeah, because, she kissed him, so he got that juice back.
They also have that whole conversation about understanding Bella is a person with a brain, and then Jacob finds out that she's gonna marry Edward and just like pisses his pants immediately. Like, y'all just talked about it, right? It's
Very
so
disappointing.
odd. Like, also Edward purposely saying it so that Jacob could hear. It's so devious. Like,
And not very
I
much
like the back and forth.
character. I felt like he was very like reserved, and his character arc was not giving like jealous boyfriend energy. But that when he said that, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
who, Edward?
Yeah.
No,
like,
he's definitely jealous and like protective and like.
I feel like
he
he
just
has every
acts like
right
he's
to
more
be.
mature. Like that was his biggest like. That was the best thing about him was Jacob was very immature and hot-blooded, and he was like kind of calm and collected. So him doing that felt so out of pocket.
He's just like way smarter than Jacob, so like his manipulation is much more layered and complicated. But Jacob's just like, me like you, like me, why? Like,
Also, Edward has every right to be jealous.
what? Because it's Taylor Lautner?
If my wife had a guy friend that just forcibly kissed her and was still hanging around and then like manipulated her into kissing him again unless he was going to kill himself, I wouldn't want her around him either.
Yeah, but if you're in like a battle against like an army of evil vampires and he's a werewolf that can help you, I feel like there's some added layers there.
Guys, what are we doing here? I will say the reason why I do like this movie a lot is even though we want Bella to be a person, right, and make her own decisions, I do think what we're talking about, the bickering back and forth between Edward and Jacob, I think it's very funny and entertaining because I was just thinking about it at the very beginning of this movie, right? Edward's back in town from whatever happened in New Moon. She is walking to school with Edward. Jacob is chilling there with his motorcycle, and she just hops on and drives away with him. And Edward's just chilling there and be like, well, okay, I guess she's with him now. Very funny that she's just like, Edward, deal with this. I'm making my own decisions.
My point.
Yeah.
Also, this is the thing where like Jacob has to like get his scent all over her, so like they can't smell her. So he just like takes his shirt off and is like carrying her around all the time. Like, what the hell?
Oh, I love it. He's like, hey, make sure you run fast, right? He's like, absolutely. And he starts like booking it, and then you're like just casually trotting in the woods. He's like, I'm gonna soak every second I can with her.
Yeah. But I think the fight is really cool. I like that. I thought it was a fun little battle.
They killed a child. I wasn't expecting them to do that, especially after the end of the very last movie. But I like that they killed the child. I'm sorry. It's good. All
One
fake.
thing they did in this too, I think it was Edward when he killed Victoria, was he bit her neck and then like chopped her head off. Why don't they use that move more? That seems pretty impactful.
Yeah, the vampires low key die really easily. Like you just
Yes.
kind of take someone's head and just pop it off, and they're gone. Like,
Well, and the sound effect that came with that, like the glass shard sound that would happen, that was a unique pick.
yeah, I don't understand. It literally looks like they're made out of glass. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to not think too hard about the logic of these, but I like the little battle there. I think this is the most like entertaining movie. They spent 70 million on this, made 700 million. So,
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the
these
thing
movies
too. This franchise has made over like $1 billion. This franchise is so huge.
oh, way over that.
way more.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, over $1 billion. So
Over-
whatever that
probably over 2 billion.
but still over $1 billion.
Yes, you're right. Over $100. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Kristen
like that
Stewart,
episode of SpongeBob where he's like, "How many mattresses do you think there are?" And he's like, 10.
What were you saying, Lama?
I was saying that Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson both said that they would come back and make more Twilight movies. And so I'm not really entirely sure why they haven't, since this has been such a lucrative series.
I thought they
Kristen-
both hated him.
Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson said that?
Yeah, they did hate them, but recently they said that they would come back.
That is true. I do know that Robert Pattinson has changed his tone. He was like, dude, I hate these movies for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, I
know
feel
how
like it could be better now.
You want to know how to print money? Give me a movie with Robert Pattinson in like 1905, just like as a vampire living his life.
hmm
Just give me that movie, and you can make it like it's like it would be like a classic vampire movie. You can get like that kind of like Nosferatu type crowd, but then you'd also just like attach it to the Twilight franchise and use the IP. Like that would be awesome. Like
Robert Eggers should have cast him to play Nosferatu.
yeah, or imagine just like an Edward cameo in that movie. Hilarious. But yeah, I like Eclipse. Do you guys want to get into Breaking Dawn?
Yeah, the best one.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay, hold on,
I'm
Connor.
Goodbye.
Hold on, Connor. Okay, are you talking about part 1 or part 2?
Part 1.
You are on.
You're on crack.
You're on
You're
something,
smoking-
my guy.
smoking crack.
Oh, is it because the wedding? Is that why you liked it so much?
You are sniffing.
I like this
You're
one a
sniffing
lot.
Jacob's stink. That's what you're doing. Why? We need it. We need to be quiet. Why?
Is this that serious to you, Stone?
Yes. I'm
I
very.
hate
This
this
is the worst movie. This is the worst movie.
I don't know. I liked it a lot. The wedding. I liked kind of the visions. I liked more of the backstory on Edward. The honeymoon kind of drags. I'll be honest there. That part drags for so long. I like the tension at the end. I think the wolves actually look pretty good in this. I mean, does everyone share at least that sentiment?
Sure.
Okay.
Is this the one where the wolves are talking to each other and you just hear their thoughts? Dude, it's so funny. That's so bad.
I agree. Like the dialogue and like how it sounds isn't good, but I still think the wolves look really good, especially like when I forget his name. Is it Sam? Is he the black wolf who's kind of the alpha as well?
Mm-hmm.
Him and Jacob are like backing each other down basically between the logs. I think they look really good there. And then I like the manipulation of Jake and the wolves, like letting the Cullens leave to go protect Bella. The only thing the movie was missing for me is I need more Charlie in my life.
Mm-hmm. We all need more Charlie in our lives.
Exactly.
Charlie should have gotten like a vampire wife or something. That would have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Dude,
or husband. Just like
Since-
give Charlie like a romance. I don't know.
I also think that Billy Burke is like the best actor and consistently in all these movies. Maybe it's that's because he's just the best written character, but he just seems like a normal dad who's like, Bella, what the hell are you doing? I love how he's like, Bella's at the third movie where she like stays in her room for 4 months. He's like, Bella, you got to get out there. This isn't normal. Like, I feel that.
He's like, hey, why don't you go talk to Jacob? Like, Jacob's cool. Like,
That backfired.
yeah.
Maybe that's why she doesn't hang out with her dad anymore.
Yeah, this movie, I will say the pregnancy, this was almost rated R. Like, that scene is wild. Like, so intense. Like, so much more intense than anything else happens in this. Pretty upsetting. And then you get Jacob with the imprinting.
That's number 2, I thought. Was it this one? No, it was this one.
The very
No.
end, I think.
Very
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Why did she make that a thing in the books? Like,
I don't
it's
know.
so odd.
There's
Like I
no
said-
explanation.
What
Like I
it
said in the
feels
beginning,
like, what it
imprinting on a
feels
baby
like to
sounds
me,
weird.
what it feels like to me is bad writing, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't know how to resolve that situation, so that's what you use,
Yeah.
and it's just like a Deus Ex Machina
Mm-hmm.
bullshit thing. But like, it's so weird. And then you're raising this kid, and Jacob's there all the time, and she's like 5, and he's like, "Oh, get on my shoulders, let's run." It's like, what are you? This is so odd.
Speaking of Charlie, oh, that's the second movie. But like Charlie meets the child, and he's like, "All right, this is your like niece that you've adopted. All right." And then like next time he sees her, it's like Christmas. He's like, "Wow, you growing like 1.5 feet taller." That's kind of
You're
weird.
just 6 years older.
To be fair, at that point, Charlie didn't know about the supernatural.
No, Charlie. I would say that's so strange. I don't want to talk about it yet, but we won't. I mean, the
Also,
fact that Jacob
she's-
transforms in front of him.
Renesmee, well, the stupidest fucking name in the history of fiction. It's so stupid. Like, it's
Uh,
funny, but like, it's so bad. But also,
What's worse,
she-
Renesmee or Cho Chang?
Harry Potter.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. Kingsley Shacklebolt.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Anyway,
she's gonna age until she's 17 and then stop aging. Did Jacob is gonna age, right?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
we see his dad age,
What?
like his dad. Like
Yeah.
we see him, obviously.
Like
He's
they're elders.
So Jacob will be like 50 with someone that looks like they're 17.
Is he with her romantically?
We see visions at the end of Breaking
That's
Down
what
Part
imprinting
2.
is. That's your soulmate.
Yeah.
Well, no. In printing, he said can be like a big brother role too.
That's the thing that's something that changes. Is he originally is like, no, bro, no, dude, I'm just doing this to save her. At the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2, you literally see Alice look at him and be like, "Aw," and you see a vision of them together.
Yeah.
So that has
I was
changed
bringing it up when
completely.
we got there because that makes it a whole lot weirder.
Dan, you mentioned the writing. My biggest flaw of this movie is, and maybe it's not a flaw because it is their rule, but you mentioned it. It's the fact that the werewolves and the vampires team up with each other in Eclipse, right? It's like a big ordeal. They're working with each other. They got to save Bella. Almost immediately in this movie, the werewolves are like, we have to murder Bella's child.
Right.
And you do not see the werewolves struggle with that decision at all. I'm like, I thought you guys cared about this girl. And it's like, nope, it doesn't matter. It's our rule. We're taking them down. I'm like, I thought it was such a big turn in the series for the werewolves to be on the vampire sides. And now it's just the Cullens versus the werewolves yet again.
No, it makes sense though. If it's the immortal child and that big of a threat to like all of supernatural society,
you have to make me. You have to show more than it's just, oh, it's the rule. You have to show me them struggling with this
You
choice. The
saw
fact that
Edward scrolling on his Mac, looking up the research of an immortal child and what happened.
Which she
No.
wasn't, right? She
Right.
wasn't technically an immortal child. So
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying-
that was the big
I-
fear surrounding it all.
yeah.
it seems like Sam. It seems like all the werewolves care about Bella. They seem like they do not have a problem at all with
Right.
murdering her child. Like that is what I have an issue with. You do not see them struggling with that at all.
Because they're
They
looking
are
at the bigger picture.
Okay, but still show me that they care at all. I
They're
thought
the
they
good
did.
guys, right? Like, how are they the good guys? They just kind of switched. Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. And then they switch, right? In the next movie, they are on their side against the Volturi.
Exactly. It's just like it's so back and forth.
So, and I could not agree more. That bothered me so much that like, and I hate in movies when it's just like there's an unknown. They're just like, oh, this vampire human person's obviously going to be evil and like destroy the world. Like, based on what? Like, why would you not wait and see? Like, you've been developing this whole community's relationship with your Jesus character in Bella, right? They all like look up to her, love her, etc. Why would they immediately just say they're going to kill her and her baby? Like, it's ridiculous, and it's just forced conflict. Like, it's bad writing again.
Like I
But,
thought
like-
the villain in this movie was going to be the Volturi, right? I thought like we set them up maybe in the third film. I'm like, here they are, next movie, let's go. You don't see them until the very end, and it is the werewolves who are the threat. I'm like, what?
Yeah, this movie's also it's literally just like the wedding, the honeymoon, like them talking about if they're gonna have sex or not, and then the pregnancy after
Oh my gosh,
having sex one time. Like, it's just
the
it's
sex man.
Did you guys expect the pregnancy as people who haven't read the books?
I knew it happened. I mean, you imprinted on my daughter, so I knew that she was going to get pregnant. I knew that it also was a CGI baby, so unfortunately, I had that ruined for me.
I was gonna say, I love my wife, and she's like my second favorite person in this world, but she's the absolute worst person to watch movies with if she has seen the movies before, because she just spoils everything that's coming, and then like will quote everything that's coming. So the amount of times I've heard her and now her best friend who was over Friday say, "You imprinted on my baby. You named her after the Loch Ness monster." I knew a baby was coming.
It's
dude.
no,
Kristen
it's
Stewart
it's
delivers that line with so much like intensity. It's she really went for it.
Yeah.
but it's like it's their wedding day, right? And Jacob comes. It's a huge surprise, and he's like, "Hold on, you're not gonna turn until after y'all have sex? Are you stupid? He'll crush you." I'm like, Jacob, chill, bro. I thought you were okay with this 3 seconds ago.
Yeah. Edward and Jacob are both just like so unstable and so badly written. They just have no consistency in their anything.
At the beginning of the movie, Edward's having second doubts about the wedding,
Mhm.
like right away, and she's like, "Ah, they can't decide on anything. They're always like, Bella, you don't know anything, bro. Like I told you. Here's the thing, right? She knows the consequences about having intercourse with him, right? She knows what's going to happen, and then she has a couple bruises on her afterwards. But that's the price she pays for, wanting to be with the person she loves. And then he's like, he grabs her arm. She's like, "See, I knew this would happen. We can't." I'm like, oh my god.
I'm happy you brought that up, Stone, because like as much as I've been defending this movie, I wrote down maybe some of the worst dialogue I've heard in my life, and it was Edward going, "Just checking for cold feet," and she goes, "They're toasty warm."
That's so bad.
Jeez.
I was gonna ask, did you like not like anything about this movie? So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like the honeymoon like scene like drags for a very long time.
You didn't
Honestly,
love
I
the
want to
headboard.
spend more time with the
pattern?
Portuguese housekeeper.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
I want to spend more time with the Portuguese housekeeper. Let's
Oh.
learn her more.
She just touches her stomach and goes, "Death."
I think they're Brazilian, no, but they speak Portuguese.
Speak Portuguese, yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought they were in. I
No,
thought
No, they're in
they were-
Brazil, but they speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I also was gonna say Jacob is just such an absolute just degenerate. Like when he shows up at her wedding and then he's like, oh, let's dance for a while. It's like, dude, this ship has sailed. Like you've lost. I don't know what to tell you. Like he's
Nope.
just so.
We're going back to why Jacob's a piece of shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
This might be a minor thing to you guys, but one thing I did know about this movie, even though I haven't watched it in the decade plus that it's been out, is the fact that I like the song "A Thousand Years." I like the song "It Will Rain" by Bruno Mars, right? And "A Thousand Years" is a wedding song, and I was like, all right, here we go, the wedding. You know, the flowers are coming down. It looks beautiful. All right, Christina Perri, bring us home. And it doesn't play. That was disappointing to me. I thought that song was going to play. I know that the guys probably don't care about this at all, but I thought it was going to play then, and it doesn't play until I fast forward it. It is the very last song in the entire movie during the end credits. And I'm just like, missed opportunity.
I don't know why they
Complete
did
missed
that.
opportunity.
That was
Foolish.
such poor taste, honestly. The guys are like, what?
Yeah, they don't care at all.
No, I agree. I think that's valid. I was thinking about other stuff that was horrible about this movie.
Also, how convenient is it that like the housekeeper of their place in Brazil like knows vampire lore ish? Like, oh, they'll know death, you know.
And they keep
Yeah.
her around, which is the weirdest part for me. Like they're so worried about the Volturi and people finding out, but this housekeeper will keep her.
I cannot believe. I mean, maybe it's a subversion of your expectations. I still can't believe at the very end of this whole saga that Charlie doesn't know about vampires. That's wild.
It's like something's going on. I don't know. Shit's pretty weird. Like,
I almost want to
Lord.
say that he finds out in Breaking Dawn, but I can't remember.
and like,
I
why
feel
not just tell them? Tell him. Like, what's it matter? I mean, I don't know. Especially when his
I
life
guess-
is in danger. Basically, like,
I guess it's the thing that, right, the Volturi will like come and like maybe harm him if he knows. But the thing is, Bella knew about Edward. They weren't gonna kill her until she showed up in Italy. And they're like, who's this girl? Oh, she knows. Let's get her.
yeah.
So
I also just wanted to say, like, I think the like sex scene in this like sucks. Like, you have all this build up. It's such a big deal. This is like gonna get her like lead to the pregnancy that's like driving the rest of this whole book, and it's just like a nothing. And I know it's like most, I guess, for kids, but like it's a bad scene. Like it's just not. We were just talking about Sinners and like how that can be well done. It's just like a shitty scene. I don't know.
you wanted the headboard destroyed more.
I don't know. Just something. It's just.
Well, we only see it like chipping, right? And then the next scene, it's like completely caved in, and it's like
Yeah,
ruined.
she's just in bed and the room is like completely destroyed. It's just like
Yeah.
this is just
No, Dan's a big chess guy. He wanted more of that.
chess. Oh yeah, they're playing chess.
Yeah, they're playing chess on the beach.
It's because it was on the cover of the fourth book. I think that's the only reason they tied it in.
And it's funny too, because it doesn't even happen though, right? She's dreaming. Like it's just like little dream sequence of them actually enjoying themselves. Like, wow, look at them. They're actually having some chemistry, having fun together. This is cool. And you realize she's in bed. And, and Edward's like, what were you dreaming? She's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It didn't happen. I'm like, what? Just go do it. Go play chess. So strange.
I think to sum up this movie, to me, it's just like tonally really odd. Like it's like this like light romantic little story, and then the ending is like so horrifying and intense. It's just like I feel like that's one of the better moments in the series, like in terms of intensity and like I guess actual horror and stuff. But it doesn't fit with the rest of this movie, and it just feels so weird. And I just
Yeah, especially the beginning, dude. That's like, oh, so sweet.
Yeah.
Crazy. Time moves so fast in these movies. So fast. And I feel like we're missing, like I said, like what is Charlie doing? What does Charlie think about all of this? Like, oh, also the thing, like his daughter is just sick and dying, and they're just like kind of giving him updates. And he's just like, yeah, Charlie's calling again. What do we tell him this time? like what?
Yeah. Also, along with that, like, how come we just didn't see a single one of our high school friends after New Moon up until like 2 minutes of this movie?
Because they're not important, I guess. Which Anna Kendrick got Pitch Perfect after this, so good for her.
Yeah.
The one girl, I forget her name in the movie and just in real life, but every time I see her in anything, like she was in The Walking Dead, I just see her in Ned's Declassified.
Is it Angela? I think.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
I only remember when the newspaper guy, whatever, the school paper guy was like, "The feature is dead, Angela." And I was like, calm down. You're writing a paper for school.
Yep, it's Angela.
Do you guys want to
All
talk
right.
about part 2?
Do you want to finish the saga?
Yes.
I don't know. She grows up pretty quick, don't they? Kids these days.
You guys know about what is it? Chuck Esme, I think is the name. Chuck Esme, the doll that was supposed to be Renesmee but looked like Chucky, so they call it
Yeah.
Chuck Esme. Oh,
It's
so
going to be
bad.
an animatronic.
So bad.
Would have been really...
It's terrifying.
Chakesme is a doll that they were going to make that looked exactly like Renesmee.
Oh, they made it. Like it's in like a
An
museum. somewhere.
animatronic, yeah.
Yeah.
But that goes for a lot of money. That'd be creepy to have. But I don't understand, right? Because you can just joke, okay, CGI baby. There is a point when the child is the exact same height. It's so funny because I'm like, are they going to do this the entire time? And then they actually replace it with a human living child. But there's moments where the CGI face is matching up to the size of that actress's body, but it's still not her real face, and I don't understand why. I think it's when they go visit the Alaskan people, like their cousins in Alaska or whatever. It's still not a real person. I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, she's grown up. Just replace her. It's such a baffling decision. I don't understand. Maybe it was should make her literally look freaky because she's half vampire, half human. Also, what is her power? What does she do?
She shows people her feelings.
Yeah, like she
By
shares
touching.
her memories and stuff.
So she shows people their own memories, or her
No,
memories.
like
Hers. Yeah.
that's
like what she sees.
lame. That's a lame power.
It's the opposite of Aro, basically. So Aro can see people's like what they see, and so she can just project what she sees, essentially.
Imagine a really boring person just saying like, "Here's what I've been doing," and I'm like, "I don't care. Like, get your hand off me." Sorry.
I think the main thing about this movie is like obviously like the twist about the battle. How do you guys feel about that?
I'll go last.
I liked it. As someone who read the books, I liked it. And I actually had fallen out of love with Twilight by the time Breaking Dawn Part 2 came out. So I didn't watch it for years and years and years. And it was like junior year of college, my friends wanted to watch it for whatever reason. And I remember screaming when I saw Carlisle's head get chopped off. I was like, what's happening? This is not in the book. And then, the twist happened. So I liked it personally.
That goes back to to what Dan was saying earlier, that like vampires seem to be killed pretty easily.
Yeah, like bobbleheads. You just pop their heads off.
I think what they did perfectly with that scene is it went on just long enough that I had completely forgotten that Alice had grabbed his hands.
Yeah.
So it could have been Vision. And
That's a good
so the twist got me for sure.
I also kind of like it because, and not to get too I don't know, not to say too much. I just think it's interesting because first of all, the audience, you have this if I haven't read the books, but you have this expectation of this big climactic battle to finish off the series, like in Return of the King and in Harry Potter, and it's always that's what you get at the end.
Right.
I think having characters, it's almost like they're acknowledging how fucking pointless it is, and the pointlessness of the violence in and of itself. It's just we're all gonna do this for what? And all these people are gonna die on both sides, and it's gonna be horrible. And not doing that, I think is interesting. From a writing perspective. I mean, when it comes to the movie, from a writing perspective, and I think having your villain be this is just not it. And obviously he sees his own death, which there's selfish motivation, but I don't know. I just think seeing how much carnage there would be, and then saying let's not do that is kind of cool. Also, I just wanted to say Michael Sheen is so good in this. He's so funny. He's
He
really
goes,
frustrating.
ah!
But she just improvised, and everyone was kind of "What? What are you doing?" But yeah, I didn't mind that.
Stan,
like
before
it.
you go,
I don't like it.
one of the things I like too, right before the Vision battle, I like the restraint that we see from the Cullens and the wolves, where he's they're just trying to do this to egg you on, don't fall for it. I like that whole aspect too. I feel
love
like
when
there's a lot of
Jasper
growth
does
in a lot of those characters.
Yeah.
Why did Jasper and Alice leaving is just like such a weird plot line. Like I guess I bet I know it's because like he want Aro, right?
Mhm.
Aro wants like to like take her on his side or whatever. But they just show up anyways. So I don't really understand. Like I think it was part of the book, and I think there was a lot that was taken out of the book, I believe, about their journey
Mhm.
that wasn't placed in the movie. So it seems very strange in the movie.
Well, I think they think in the beginning that she's running away because she doesn't want him to like collect her. But then we find out later, actually, she was going to find people and also set up these passports or whatever.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's true.
it was done poorly.
But yeah, I don't like the twist because I've always in any show I've ever watched, I like when characters die because I feel like it makes a story have stakes. Like it doesn't feel safe, like anybody is expendable. Like The Walking Dead. I only watched 6 or 7 seasons of that show, but I've
Only.
mentioned on the
Yeah.
there's like I don't know, there's like 13 or 14 or 15
I know, but
seasons of that show.
that's a lot to get through.
Yeah. Well, time caught up to me. I'm too busy now, I guess. But basically, like the second and the like third main character of that show die, and it's really intense. Obviously, this is different because it's movies, and this is the very last movie. But I don't know. It just like not. It makes me feel like nothing happens. Like why if I get what you're saying, Dan. It's like it's a subversion of expectations, and it's really cool as well because it's like, what is the point of all of this, right? We can actually do this without fighting. But then I'm thinking about all these people that have come that I don't give a shit about, that they have introduced me to, that explain to me all their powers through this entire runtime, and they're not even utilized. And I didn't care about them when I was getting told about them, right? Well, I'm like, at least I guess I will like them when it comes to the battle, right? It would be a cool battle to see them use these skills, and they just don't. So I'm like, I hate them even more now. Like, what is the point of having them there? I want focus on Charlie. Give me focus on Bella's friends from home. I don't care that these people from the Amazon can project Photoshop. Whoa, that's really cool. I don't like any of the powers. So I think just the fact that I don't like those in general, the fact that I'm being told a bunch of them and then they're not even used just seems pointless to me. I wish they were all erased and it was just the Cullens. I wish we had more time with the Cullens. And honestly, the one emotional time I got in this whole series was when Carlisle dies. He's my favorite character as well. I love Carlisle. And the fact that he was the first one to get killed, I was like, I didn't like that, but I did like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how invested I am in these characters in this story. But then that's just all erased. So I don't know. It's just like I do agree, Connor. Like it went on for such a long time that it really did convince you that it was happening. And Rami Malek, like Avatar, like being the Avatar was really funny.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that at all. It was funny because I wrote on my letterbox review, I didn't expect Rami Malek to be in this film in the first place. I saw his name in the opening credits. I'm like, okay, but then he literally can control like earth, wind, fire, and air. I'm like, okay, very hilarious for that to happen. And I don't think we're going to talk about it, so I'll just interject this. Probably the stupidest thing in the entire series, I'm sorry, is the fact that we get like 65 different people's names at the very end of the film. It's like, remember this person who appeared for 2 minutes? That's this actor. This person who appeared for 3 seconds, that's that actor. It goes on for so long, and it really feels like they're padding the runtime because even at the beginning of this movie, they like say tons and tons of names. They're like Kristen Stewart, right? Robert Pattinson, and they've never done that for any of the movies. So they do that not only at the beginning and they do that at the end. So I'm like, this really shouldn't have been stretched out into 2 movies, especially when everything that happens in the part one, it's like nothing at all. It's 3 things that happen. So I know that was like the thing that was going on back when these young adult fiction books were being adapted, but I hated if they did it at the beginning, fine, but the fact that they did it at the end as well, I hated both parts of that.
I would say I'd push back on that pretty hard. I think it's actually really cool because I feel like these movies were, I mean, they were such a big deal at the time, but like they also, these people put so much time and energy and work into that, and I think like being willing to acknowledge every actor that had a part, even like the side characters, when I think oftentimes those people get overlooked. I think that's really cool. Um, and I think it was kind of an acknowledgement of just like the end of all of this. Um, so I definitely appreciate that. I also was going to say about the battle. I think First of all, when I was watching the battle itself, I thought a lot of the stuff that happened was kind of dumb. Like, I loved Carlisle too, and I thought when he died, like, why would he do that? Like, that was so dumb and out of character what he did to just when he seems to be the person that has the most kind of ability to think critically and lead them, Tim to just literally basically give away his life, I thought was silly. And then Rami Malek, like, he doesn't use his powers at all. Then he's just like, I'm gonna split the fucking earth in two, and there's like hell beneath this. And like he just does something that like is obviously gonna kill so many people on both sides. Like he's like, fuck it, let's just break the earth. Like I'm like, what is this is dumb. Also he can control water, but he doesn't do anything with the snow or ice that's all around. Like, what? Like, what are you doing? So I
He
think
didn't have a master to train him.
I had some issues with like the fight itself, so like I was kind of glad that didn't happen that way. But I also would say I would disagree with your other point about the vampires being pointless because the point was that like all these people are willing to come and do the right thing and like support a cause that was more than themselves. And I feel like so many vampires around the world are just like very isolated and selfish, and like I feel like it was showing they're willing to like sacrifice and maybe die and like go against the Volturi who are like perceived as so strong. And I feel like it was just showing like, and also it was cool to see vampires from other like cultures and places and just like to give a snapshot of like the world that the world was a little bit bigger, especially as we're talking about in a story where like everyone's just fucking boring and white and like is kind of the same. So I think just having some different cultures represented is cool, but also I would say if they didn't show up, the Cullens probably all would have died. Like if there wasn't more of a threat and more of a presence and more of a like force, that battle would just be a lot easier for the Volturi, and they might have just like steamrolled them, gotten rid of them, and then that the world would just continue going on. So I think like them having that like bravery or whatever to show up is what gives the Volturi pause, and a lot of that battle is because there's more of a force against them.
I
So
guess I wish it was sprinkled into the saga better because this is the finale, right? And you want closure for a lot of the characters. Like Charlie has a lady now. Like he looks at her for like a split second, I think, in Eclipse, and then all of a sudden Bella's like, "Man, I'm really happy my dad found someone." I'm like, I wish I could see them talk to each other. Like, what are we doing here? So there's just like I agree with you saying. I like the fact that we can see, especially different colored people, with the fact that this is a very white story. But I wish that was sprinkled out, which I guess that's just how it was written throughout the entire or the saga, and then all of these people come together, and you knew them from Eclipse, you knew them from New Moon, better than being like, all right, here's like 30 new people, and they're all just going to be standing around in the Cullens' house very awkwardly, just chilling there, just waiting around, And there's like people like I was expecting one of them to. They're like kind of sketchy at times too, which I guess that's just their different
it's a bunch
personalities.
of random vampires, like yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's so strange. They're just like I don't know who these people are.
I was good, but yeah, then you're bringing up backstories. Like one person that was like more of a main character that I wish we got more backstory on was Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we saw him in New Moon, and then he's referenced a few times, and then we see him in this. Like, we could have cut out some stuff from Eclipse and Breaking Dawn Part 1, and like spend a little more time with him, even if it was like in Spain or wherever he resides.
This whole series is very poorly paced.
Yeah. I think the things that you guys are suggesting would make the books good books, and you guys keep forgetting that the books are not good. So that's the biggest issue here.
Yeah. There's just too much time. I know the focus is on Edward and Bella, and even Jacob too. There's just whenever they have a conflict in their relationship, it takes forever to get through. Like I don't know why them having sex in Brazil has to take 35 minutes to get over that. Like we could have done so much more than that. The wedding is like 30 minutes as well.
Right.
Like just there's better things to focus on. Like we don't like their kiss at the wedding. It takes forever.
Yeah.
Like everyone, there's like the camera turns and everyone leaves. I mean, it's kind of a joke because they're just in their little fantasy, but
yeah, this movie's trying to get at like a bigger world and bigger stakes and all, but like so much time has been wasted on like teen romance bullshit with 3 characters that suck for like the last 4 movies. So it's just like I agree. Yeah.
The stakes were poorly done in this movie too, because we have this like moment where one of the characters realizes that the Volturi have this game of trying to like, I don't know, find some sort of group and claim that they violated some rule so that they could, you know, take somebody with powers into their clan. And so that could have been a really, really good storyline if they all focused on that and less so on the whole Renesmee immortal child nonsense. Because that's the actual stake that all of them could be invested in, right? For their own safety.
Yeah, I like that. Aro, he like improvises because he sees the fact, like he touches Renesmee and like sees that she's part, not immortal. But then he's like, but she could do something in the future, guys. We don't know.
It's such classic,
like,
like person with power, just like abusing a situation because they want to like just do what they want. So they just like make a new scenario up that like gives them that power.
Yeah. Did you guys like the Romanian vampires?
I like them a lot. I really do
so
like them
gimmicky.
actually.
They really went for those performances. But
I also like that guy from Volturi who we've got no character development for, but these two guys charge him, and he's just like, finally, and they just like rip him in half.
Yeah.
That was really good. Oh gosh.
also, Lee Pace is in this as Garrett, the like super edgelord dickhead vampire. He's kind of cool. I think a lot of people like him, and Lee Pace is a great actor. But
that might be the craziest description I've ever heard you give, Dan.
What did I say?
Super edgelord dickhead.
That's what he is. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to like harp on his name, but that's an interesting name for an actor. The guy who plays Seth, his name is Boo Boo. It's interesting. Boo Boo Stewart.
Do you guys remember when Jasper got slapped? When him and Alice are going, it's like so quick. They're like charging them, and then she gets ripped apart from him. So whenever
I do remember that, yeah.
I think they just that sounds so unnecessary, but so good.
Like, Jasper, stop it.
Yeah.
We're taking your woman, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh gosh.
All right, guys, you want to rank the Twilight Saga? What your favorite is?
Do you want to go first, Palma?
Okay. I think Breaking Dawn Part 2 is number 1 for me because of the diversity and the twist. I really like that. Twilight would be number 2, if not tied, because Twilight is just nostalgic. And then probably Eclipse, Breaking Dawn 1, and then New Moon. I hated New Moon.
Solid.
Okay. Connor?
I'm really thinking about this.
Don't you?
Joe, you want to go?
Oh, yeah, I got it. So I'll go Twilight, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn Part 2, New Moon, Breaking Dawn Part 1.
Okay. In Dead Last... Hold on. Yeah, in Dead Last, I would have Breaking Dawn Part 1. Next, I would have Twilight, the original. This is going from last up. Then I would have New Moon. Then I would have Breaking Dawn Part 2 somehow, and then I would have Eclipse.
It says somehow.
That's crazy.
Hellas twerk.
Oh, all right. Our conversation has changed my mind a little bit. I still like Breaking Dawn Part 1 more than any of you, but last I'm probably going to go Eclipse.
That's crazy, dude.
That movie felt like it took an eternity to get through.
Because it was so good.
Right. That's how good movies feel to me. Second last, I'll probably go the original Twilight. Then probably New Moon, Breaking Dawn Part 1, Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, guys, we're done. We don't have to watch these movies again. Now, Lana, I know you. I said I know you watch them every year, so yeah. I respect that. We have no nostalgia for them, so it's very different, I guess. Nostalgia is such a strong drug. It really is.
That's what keeps them alive, I think. That's the only thing that keeps them alive, actually, because everything else is pretty bad.
And I'm jealous of you because I wish, which you could probably do, I wish I could quote some of the lines in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Like,
there's so many funny things.
Yeah.
I would say the Loch Ness Monster is probably number one line for me. That's probably number one.
It's
Oh.
truly something. So much confidence in delivery.
What would you say is your favorite line, Dan?
Probably the where you been, Loca. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
I think my favorite would probably be whenever Edward reveals himself in Twilight, and then he's like trying to threaten her, kind of to scare her, and then he goes, "As if you could outrun me." That's my favorite line.
I love like when he confesses to her that he's a vampire. He's like, "I'm a killer. I've killed people. Back away. I'm dangerous."
And she's like,
And she's
"No."
like, "Oh, can I just tell you something I forgot about? In New Moon, when Edward like runs off, right? And he's like, Bella, I'm leaving, right? She like is walking through the forest, calling out Edward's name, and she falls asleep in the forest. Little strange, but there didn't seem like a whole lot of urgency. It just seemed like a little, a little Bella thing that Bella does. She gets back home, and there are like 15 police cars at her place and like search teams for her. And I was like, I had no idea how serious this was. I thought it was just a Bella thing.
Mhm.
And her dad's like, Bella, where have you been? Anyways, I just remember that.
Oh god.
Like when she went home and then there's like tons of cars there, I was like, what is going on? Oh yeah, she did just fall asleep in the woods. Oh Lord. Mama, I think you're the first person because you're the book Esquire. So you're like Book Talk, right? You're the
Yeah.
first person from Book Talk that we've had on the podcast. So
Yeah.
usually what we like to do at the end of the podcast, when we have film people, is usually recommend a film that they think is very underseen or just one they really love and recommend it to our listeners. So, I mean, you can do a movie if you want, but if you want to do a book, it'd be kind of cool.
Oh, I've been waiting for this. So there's 2 books I would highly recommend, okay? The first is by probably my favorite author, Joe Abercrombie. I feel like he's well known in the fantasy world. He's actually a scriptwriter too. He's like in Hollywood or filmmaking or something. His first book, The Blade Itself, is good, but the rest of the series is phenomenal. And so I want to tell people to read that series. Give the first one a shot. Even if you don't love it, keep reading because he is a fantastic writer. Stone, I think you would really love him only because you seem very character driven based off of your feedback from the movie series talk. So I would highly recommend that. And then somebody else who's super low key is Megan O'Keefe. She wrote The Blighted Stars, which is kind of like a sci-fi romance. If you are interested in anything space opera wise, I would highly recommend it. It is so good and super, super underrated.
you said
How
Megan
is-
O'Keefe.
Yes,
Yeah, Megan O'Keefe, right? Okay.
She's like Irish American. She's awesome.
How is the Fourth Wing?
Oh,
How are
God.
those books? Oh,
Okay, listen.
I'm not a book person. I'm
Yeah.
reading the Sunrise and the Reaping. I'm like 100 pages to that. I'm not a big. That's the first book I've read in a little bit.
So here's the thing. First of all, I would say I'd recommend audiobooks for somebody who doesn't really read and you like movies. I think audiobooks are a great replacement for physically reading and you'll go through them a lot faster. Second of all, and it is reading. People will say it's not reading. It's absolutely reading. Fourth Wing. So I think if you're someone who doesn't read fantasy and doesn't watch fantasy, Fourth Wing is a great book for you. Also, if you like romance, like you know how Twilight was very romance forward, that's basically Fourth Wing. Like the entire plot is romance, and then you get like a smidge of actual storyline towards the end. It is fast paced though, so I think that's why it's super popular. But I think in just general fantasy communities, it's not the most like well respected book. It's probably the right terminology because it's not really a fantasy book. It's like romance with dragons, you know. So,
I
My
feel like
wife's reading
vampire movies lovers wouldn't call Twilight like a really like vampire movie. You know.
right, same way, exactly.
You said your wife's reading it, Connor.
Yeah,
Does she like it?
she's been enjoying it a lot so far.
Does
She
read
likes Twilight,
fantasy?
right?
No, she likes to make fun of Twilight. I think
Yeah,
like
but does she read fantasy?
she
or
like
romance?
just like started in the fantasy genre, so like she read the Court of Thorns and Roses series.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Sarah
Now
J. Maas.
Fourth Wing's her next task.
Yeah, I think the Fourth Wing author is like the next Rebecca Yarros. She's like the next Sarah J. Maas, what people like to say. Sarah J. Maas is very problematic, though, for many reasons that you guys can Google later. But her series is very popular.
All right. I will
Great
try. I promise. I will, maybe the audiobooks.
Yeah.
That sounds better. Dan, you got a recommendation for a movie? Maybe a book. I mean, you do read a lot.
I don't read a lot these days. I used to.
Back when you were a young lad.
I would say I'm not going to get complicated. I would say just go watch Sinners in the theater. Support it. It's really
So
good.
you guys liked it?
Yeah, it's very good. Fine, I'll use that too. Go watch Sinners. And if you're listening to this episode, we've probably released our Sinners review video or episode, so you should go check that out if you like the movie.
Not probably,
like a day ago. Yeah, we have. So I will also say go check it out. Also, if you love music, that's like one thing about Sinners is I love just music. I love musicals. I love all that. Well, way more of that in the movie than I think anyone ever expected. Really cool stuff, and one of the most unique and beautiful voices you'll ever hear, as well.
Yeah. And Lama, do you want to give a plug for like where people can find you or like anything at all you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm at the Book Esquire on everything. Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, weirdly enough. I think that's kind of fizzling out, but I'm there too. And yeah, if you like any sort of fantasy, lit fic, romance, sci-fi books, that's kind of my bread and butter.
Sweet.
Connor, did you have a movie, by the way?
Oh,
I did.
poor Connor.
That's all right. I've forgotten a lot. No, we're right around the corner from May. Star Wars, obviously, so I'm going to go with the basic recommendation, but The Force Awakens is top 5 Star Wars, and I think everyone should revisit it and just get the idea that the sequels are straight up trash out of their head, because The Force Awakens is a very good movie.
Can I start there?
What'd
you say, Lama?
Can I start there too, or no?
Ooh.
I
As a
wouldn't start
non-Star Wars person.
No, I would not start there. I would start with number 4.
Okay.
You could start there though. Like, I think you could. I mean, it's kind of like rehashing A New Hope with new characters in a way. So I think like it wouldn't be the worst thing.
I'm gonna give it one shot only. So I'll try this recommendation. If it doesn't work, I'm so sorry. I'm not a Star Wars person.
I'd say A New Hope then.
Well, thanks, Lama, for being on with us. I will say, if you or anybody who's listening is a really big fan of the vampire aspect of this, as in the horror part, next week we're talking about horror video game adaptations, I believe, which should be very interesting. Like we said earlier, we try to tie in, whatever big movies coming out to what we're going to talk about with our themed episodes. And I believe the Until Dawn film is coming out, which is why we're going to talk about it. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, appreciate everyone listening to Go Well Podcasting this week. But please, this week, go outside, sit on a park bench, touch some grass, call up your friends. We'll see you then. Peace out, everybody. Thanks, Lama.